is and nature has given equal opportunity, I would say, for everybody to explore this world with a limited time frame where they full, with a life cycle. It could be 10 years, it could be 50 years for someone, but we don't have control in our life. We do not have a control of how I can extend my life or I can reduce my life. I'm fed up with this, or I really want to enjoy the life. But we have a control on some areas where we say how to become happy.
Welcome to Season 13 of Purposeful Empathy, a show that is dedicated to amplifying the voices of people from across the globe who understand the world needs more empathy and are doing something about it. I want to thank you for watching, enjoy the show, and if you haven't already picked up a copy, I invite you to do so. So welcome to a new episode of Purposeful Empathy. Today I'm joined by Dr. Hyder Khoja, who works at the forefront of innovation in the life sciences. His 2 decades of expertise in molecular drug discovery, development, science, and policy have led him to many distinguished positions in scientific research and business development for health, nutraceuticals, and psychedelics. He has a track record of linking scientific talent and capital to integrate existing technologies in new and productive ways. We're going to unpack all of that shortly. Welcome to the show, Hyder. I love talking to people who are in the sciences, and I know that you'll have a lot to say about empathy and science, neuroscience. But I think it would be helpful for anybody listening to kind of get a sense of your career trajectory and some of the things that you've been doing at the interface of innovation with the life sciences to situate our conversation.
Sure, sure. Thank you so much. So actually, I come from a plant sciences background. So my undergrads were from the agriculture university. I'm South Asian, so I'm from Pakistan originally, born and raised there, and did my bachelor's and master's in plant breeding and genetics. So it's always, it always given me a kind of site that I have to look into certain more details into it. So I've chosen cytogenetics as a part of my master's program. I was lucky enough to get a scholarship to pursue for my PhD and to France, and I did my doctorate in molecular biology, further refining, where I downregulated some genes in fruit ripening process so the fruit can stay longer in the shelf life. So that was a very interesting kind of path to go into genetics and being work into plant sciences. When I first moved to the United States to do my postdoctorate in 2004, working at Michigan State University, I looked into another form of plants, another kind of genetic genomes that were very well known, called Arabidopsis thaliana, where I learned more sequencing, more ideas, how to connect, and all those things. So it's keep building because I was in the environment where there's a lot of scientists. And from there on, I said, that my journey should be somewhere where it's really resonate to what I would like to do. So again, I wanted to be a geneticist, but I wanted to work into a nutritional form of product that can consume by humans that can be more healthier, more profound for their continuation of the life journey. So I end up going into the pharmaceutical industry as well. I moved here in 2011 in Vancouver. First, I started with small company with Dr. David Suzuki's foundation. One of his organizations were looking into collecting a black soldier fly insect and extracting larvae's protein from it and making fish feed farming for fish farming industry. So that was very much interesting project everybody was doing. And I looked into it, okay, there and keep working, finding my ways to figure it out where exactly science lead me to. And I end up looking into nutraceutical drug discovery programs. I continuously working on that, and that's been my passion. And currently, I'm working in the same field.
I'm curious to know what you think, given the very exciting renaissance around psychedelics as plant-based medicine. What you think about the industry as a whole in its sort of reascension and the potential it could play? I know you personally have done some research around comas, which I'm going to ask you about, but just in general, you have arrived on the west coast of Canada at a time where everything's kind of really moving. What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, I mean I know that the industry is booming, and every time the human tendency is to look for some new ventures, new things, new innovations, and every human has that thing in mind. And this year, this decade, I would say, has been a bombardment with many technologies. You can see AI coming up. You see, a big electronic vehicles are in the on the roads, and things are coming set. So same as for psychedelic, but psychedelic has been there for a long time, many even before my birth, many years back. And what it is exactly stands is a term called psycho, and it means related to your brain, and active, which is activates your brain in certain ways. So people say any psychoactive material is basically utilized for the human health or brain mental health. So the term psychedelics is actually again stands out, and it's because it uses that psychoactive compound that exists in different plants sources and make it as a product for the public to use. Um, I know the industry is very stigmatic, and many years when people were thinking about few years back, cannabis was the same idea, but there were compounds were very healthy, very unique for men for medical purposes like cannabinoids and THC. Now people have to distinguish the recreational market as a non-recreational market. For the cannabis industry, for example, people use it more as a recreational than as a medical purpose. That's why it was very confusing. Psychedelic is more of a medical, more of a medicine part of, more of a mental health. And that's been very, igniting for people's views. The reason being because the compounds that you found in plants are very rare, and they are very, in a certain way, that since it's been prohibited, because the abuse can also give you an adverse effect, how toxic it becomes in your livers. Now, psychoactive have been shown, especially psychedelics have shown that it has been very less or negligible toxic effect in human body. And that's the reason that the universities like John Hopkins, Imperial College of London, and many other good universities, Ivy schools are putting a lot of efforts to build this, that this is real, and people who are in mental health issues can alleviate that problems. I have seen many people come with, I mean, myself and many others, regular basis have a mental problem. I mean, they doesn't want to show it because it's very rare. Any anxiety, any depression in your life that you have, separation, if you have a pet that died and you have that anxiety or depression, that also part of your mental health, how much financial issues. And as the world is going through a lot of migrations, people are coming from in the adverse environments that there's a war going on, they're also having that trauma. Same for PTSD. So is there any way that we can find a medicine for them to soothe it? And for general public, okay, for the larger public, how we can do that? So I think the psychedelic research that I have put forward, along with many other colleagues around the world, that really going to bring a legitimate way of alleviating this disorder that has been carried out by. And I would strongly suggest for people who think that mental illness is an illness, that this is stigma. Just take out of it, because you are us. We all are similar in the same boat, and I think it's that's what it is. And I think psychedelics going to play a bigger role in many years to come. And it's not going to be any other drugs, like any street drugs you talk about, psychoactive. Any street drugs has a positive effect and negative effect. Even sugar, you take 3 spoons in your tea would be in a bad effect to your body. Same for the salt, so they become poison for you. But how moderate amount you say, and only for those who really require that medicine, not for general public. So
What's
that's
very
my take.
exciting about some of the research you've done in psychedelics, which I had not heard of. So I had come across psychedelic use for PTSD, anxiety, OCD, a bunch of mental illnesses, but I had never come across research related to comas. And you have spearheaded research on coma resurrection therapy. I'd love to hear a little bit more about that.
Yeah, this is very interesting topic. When you have a heart attack, God forgot, but if someone has a heart attack on the road, paramedic comes and give a CPR. CPR did not exist 3 decades ago, 2 decades ago, and they created this technology to give that. Same idea for your brain. When brain is been struck by traumatic brain injury, or non-traumatic brain injury. Now, what happened to your brain is either a structural damage to your brain or non-structural damage to your brain. If it's the structural damage to your brain, you have basically have damaged a lot of brain, meaning your internal brain organs have been damaged, and it's really hard to really take. And eventually, the death happens. But for the non-structural damage, where you have a stroke, a person have a heart attack and went or been fainted through, hit by a normal, injury, but they're just fent for a few minutes. If you don't take care of them, they might go to a permanent brain death or the death by himself. So what I'm looking into is to people who had those strokes and people who are in this kind of situation have been into a vegetative state for a long time and they're just lying on the bed and just spending their life cycle their life because within 2 3 years eventually they deteriorate and they die because their brain is stuck somewhere. And what I'm looking into a area called a reticulum activating system in the brain that governs this consciousness and unconsciousness state of a mind. That where I'm looking into. So how we can ignite those molecules or ignite the neurons which are sitting stagnant for so many years or so many months or maybe a day, that if it sparks like an ignition in the car, they can wake up. And these psychedelics products or psychedelic compounds, especially psilocybin and psilocin, comes from magic mushroom, which is a naturally existing compounds that you can extract from. Beside many compounds you find in those mushrooms, can really trigger those neurons and then spark the traffic. So in our brain, one more, if I have to suggest someone, say, hey, you are going from Vancouver, must go to Whistler and enjoy your trip. He says, sure. And he takes a ride in the morning and in the car, it takes half an hour. And when he comes back, I said, what did you see through? He said, wow, so beautiful. I saw mountains, I saw water, I saw people, I saw so many trees, scenic view, all good. Okay. I can ask you another question. How many cars did you count? Oh, I didn't. I saw so many cars that I didn't hardly count. It could be 1,000, it could be 500. Okay, what were the colors did you register? Oh, maybe five. But he's not sure because the amount of his concentration was only on scenic. Because I told him in advance, when you go, it's scenic view. I didn't say when you go, must count the cars, or count the numbers of the colors of the cars. So what he was focused was there. Same idea for our brain. We keep registering, and it's unlimited RAM in our brain. We keep registering, and there's somewhere. And when it's either with a traumatic injury, it's bombards, either you go in the stroke or you fail or you depress or anxiety because your registration has really have disturbed. So what we have to do with these molecules, which are safe to take, that these people who are lost their memories, short-term memories, can come back for at least for some time. If they can't come for a whole, that at least they can meet their parent relatives and say, "Oh, I was injured, but I couldn't say sorry to you because I had been hard to you, or I've been very happy to see you guys, but I have to go." Or maybe they come to life forever. I know in scientific and medical terms, but when the brain death, basically you are dead or you everything killed. But what I argue with medical, that if the brain is dead, then how is controlling the rhythm of your biology? Your blood is circulating in the normal way. Your blood pressure might be up and down, but you are alive. Your heart is beating. It's not like pumping like you're jogging. So where is the brain? Brain is somewhere in the stop. So what I did is I looked into it and I found that maybe the chip in which you saved or the disk we used to have in past in the computers, you saved your memory and it's been kept away and it's not in computers, it's not accessing. Now I give them this access and put it back and say, are you there? And they wake up. And honestly, I'm saying, Dr. Novick, that I've looked into people who came back without using psychedelics. They came up after 3 months. And when you ask them, what was your experience? Some would say we don't know. We just think that it happened yesterday. We just came to, so they were in stuck in that time. Some had a journey. People who had a journey, sometimes they don't want to share you. But if you really are close to them, they open up and they say what they have seen. And that's what these people who are like us. can take psychedelics can experience the same thing that they've experienced, meaning they have connected to something that has very valuable to me. And I think if not me, someone in medical history will bring this to that coma patient can come back to life. That's what I
Incredibly exciting. Hi there. At the risk of interrupting this great conversation, I just want to draw your attention to two things. There's over 150 episodes on the Purposeful Empathy channel. You may want to check them out, and I would invite you to press the subscribe button so that you get them into your mailbox every week so you don't miss a show. Thanks so much for watching. Without any ad spend or SEO, we have over 25,000 organic views. I want to thank you so much for watching. Again, hit the subscribe button. The world needs more empathy, and you have a role to play. Well, welcome back, Hyder. This is a different kind of welcome back. We broke away because we ran out of the Zoom 40-minute limit, and we were to pick up the conversation, but I didn't hit record. And I was so sad and disappointed and quite mortified, actually, for your sake, because it was such a wonderful conversation. And I reached out to you and I said, could we please re-record the second half of the conversation? And you were incredibly gracious about it. So thank you, despite how busy you are. But I requested
not at all.
Not at all. Well, I said, let's do it in a few months when it feels a little bit fresh. So you've got a beard. My hair's maybe a bit longer. We're in totally different spaces for those of you who are watching this as opposed to listening to this. But thank you again for making the time. I'm really, really, really grateful. And there are a few things in addition that I wanted to chat with you about, starting with 4 a.m. On our last call, you shared with me the significance of waking up at 4 a.m. Now, I'm going to circle back to that after we've talked about a few other things, because I think it's going to dovetail really nicely on some of what we talked about. But I just want to thank you for introducing me to the 4 a.m. wake up time, this sacred wake up time. So if you're listening, hang tight. We're going to come. We're going to get there. So we just finished talking about your coma resurrection research, and I'd like to ask you about the connection between that research and consciousness and self-awareness, because we're still trying to figure out what consciousness is all about.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, the coma is actually an unconscious state with a limited conscious state of mind. So if you get it right, that, as an unconscious state of a mind with a limited access to a conscious mind. And when a person, especially people like us, for example, who are self aware, we know each other, we know ourselves, and are not behaving the way we're supposed to, or we are not acting the way we are supposed to, we are actually a coma patient. We are in the coma state. Not would it say like a medically coma, but a coma state means we are not behaving in the way we're supposed to. So how is difference? And how I really going to see my research works here? So, coma in general, I'm targeting the medically ill coma symptom that people fell in due to traumatic brain injury or any other reason they've been through a life tragedies, or maybe a traumatic brain injury that happens due to maybe a war in the countries that they moved here and they carried all those areas, all those things, and it hit them so hard that now they don't even remember anything, and they don't really try to understand what they are perceiving or what they are receiving in. So their state of mind is basically numb. And when you say a numb is another form of coma as well, but I'm not targeting today that part. Now, how we as a research look into a real coma patient who are medically found to be in that state that they're not able to receive the signals from what they are touching, what they're feeling, what they are talking to. Actually, they are not able to talk actually because their circuits are, somehow cut off at some reason for either the injury was so hard that it just hurt in their brains that circuits have become so numb that now they are not responsive, or they were structurally hurt by something that the brain is now not communicating or not catching the Wi-Fi, I would say, in a very layman term. So I think that's what my focus currently is, that we are looking to people who are going through this tragic moment where they are in the lethal moment, I would say, rather, that they consider, or they actually, their family considers that they are in the situation that they cannot come back, and how we can think about that these medicines or any herbal medicine available to revive these people back. Very heartbreaking, but I think it's a time that we as a medical team should consider this. That anything that you think about, these people are living and lying on the beds, and we should try to bring them back. And what that's what actually I'm aiming to look into the brain of the people who are in those going through this kind of lifelong struggle to come back, and how we can work through with the with the advocates, with the people around, with the researchers and all. And that's the point I wanted to bring it today.
I really wish you good luck with that research. I really think this is quite innovative and could be incredibly powerful for the individuals and their families who are affected. So I really, really wish you luck. I think when I listened to you talk, when I was doing the research on the neuroscience of empathy and I came across the literature about psychedelics, I started to wonder about the prosocial potential of psychedelics. Not like everyone on magic mushrooms partying, doing ecstasy. I'm not talking about recreational drug use. I'm really talking about um, people who have anxiety or PTSD or OCD, like all of the mental health issues that are now being researched. There's so much potential for healing, but I also
Mhm.
think that as large numbers of people benefit from the healing of psychedelics, there might be an opening also in the world for um, less tragedy and less anger and less stress at an aggregate level. I think that's why I find it so fascinating what the potential is. And I'm curious to see, as these research centers start to publish more and more findings, whether or not there's going to be a larger opportunity in the decades to come.
Yeah. So I would look into different framework of that. What you ask is, for example, we as a nature, we when we born, from the childhood to the adulthood to the very old age, and then we pass, there's always, and nature has given equal opportunity, I would say, for everybody to explore this world with a limited time frame where with a life cycle. It could be 10 years, it could be 50 years for someone, but we don't have control in our life. We do not have a control of how I can extend my life, or I can reduce my life. I'm fed up with this, or I really want to enjoy the life. But we have a control on some areas where we say how to become happy, how to ignore the thing, unnecessary thing, which is very hard. Again, it's very hard for something which is now not in your daily routine. To bring them into you is always good. To be start with a gratitude, start with a thank you, start with something, hey, no worries, everything is fine. Again, it's hard, but it should be built in from the childhood. So then these kids are appreciated, and become when they become adults are appreciated, and they expect, not necessarily expect for the appreciation, but it's just automatic. If they are so appreciative in their life that they don't really need a thank you for you to tell, hey, how good you were. They just consider, because they feel, they see good in everybody. And that's a mode which is naturally into everybody. Now, people who go into different mode due to certain reasons, it could be not necessarily, I'm talking medically, but like since influence to environment. When environment doesn't permit them to grow, women are not permitted to grow in the places where a lot of other regimes are, don't want to pressure them, no women's, no education, poverty. They don't want to let them. So they fall under that situation. Now, those women are really having those issues of stress.
Mm.
Same idea for the men. Men are not allowed to go or grow the way they want it. So they are under those pressures. These people who are influenced by other external environment, those And at that point, these medicines are so important for them to take them out from it.
Mm,
Not necessarily for us who are not under any influence, for example. And
mm,
we say, oh, we feel it's so easy to do it, but for them, it's not very easy. So that's why these medicines have taken a profound impact in the journey of these people. That these people, when they migrate, they just don't come with the baggages. They come with a lot of stress, and in the mental, they don't want to share it first with you. They
mm.
want to they want to become your family first. They want to know who are you, why you are asking, why are you so being personal. And slowly, gradually, when they give away your thoughts and say, I've gone through this, and then you feel, oh, you've gone through this. And if you are empathic, if you think that you are not self-centered, you think that you are now with them, the way the empathy word stands for, you come in them and say, yes, I'm with you, let's work together. And slowly, gradually, they get out. But it takes time. It takes time. So it takes time for all of us to unite together. That these medicines are just one of that partnership that we're going to have with these medicines, herbs that naturally existing. Otherwise, why would God or why would nature would create these medicines if he wants to create a chaos in this world? He
Mm.
wouldn't create, he has given intellect, but he also given these plants and medicines around us to govern these situations. Now, one other example, very layman example. We have trees in the yard, we have gardens in the yard, we walk around, we enjoy, we sit down in the sun. They do free shelter to us. They give fruits to us. We just pour water, yes or no. Sometimes he says, "Oh, no worries. They're still gonna grow apples there." What humans are doing, we are been nourished. We're gonna pay you to do good work. You're gonna be a faculty member. You're gonna be a teacher. You go. Then only we work up. We are not doing it for something that just comes to us. This something that just comes from us is an empathy. If you bring that out, everybody you see good in everybody, everything looks good to you automatically. It takes time, but it will come to you. That's what I think my journey is, and what I understand these medicines are for those people, or for those people around, all between all of us, that really need to come out from these situations.
Well, that takes us to the conversation at 4 a.m. because we've talked about plant medicines as healing opportunities in a variety of different contexts, but there are other modalities. You mentioned yoga earlier, meditation. You introduced me to something that I practiced for nearly 4 weeks with my husband, and then I went on a book tour and haven't had the chance to do it, but we'll go back to it because the outcome was so profound. And you had
Mhm.
said to me that it was going to be profound. And it's not that I was suspicious or skeptical. It's just I wasn't a believer because I hadn't lived it yet. And when I talked to friends about the practice of getting up at 4 a.m., I think I stunned them with some of what my own personal experience was. So I got into the habit with my husband of getting up at 4. We would do a guided meditation for 10 or 15 minutes. We'd do a 30-minute restorative yoga practice, and then we would journal. And so that hour in my day set me up for just living with less stress during the day. I found myself being productive, more productive, but feeling less stressed as I was doing the work. It's like an opening. It's like I can't even explain it. It's that time had a different feeling to me. And I think it made me a much more present partner and a present mother. And so that's my experience with the practice. I'd love to hear again from you, as if I'm hearing it for the first time, and certainly for anybody who's listening or watching for the first time. Why is the practice of waking up at 4 a.m. Really helpful, and why do you think it serves people so well?
Yeah. So time is in our control. We build this time, the 24-hour journey. We could make it 60 hours journey where you have 2 nights and 2 mornings. But we, as a human, put together the lines of 24 hours, 8 hours sleep. We could sleep 16 hours. Is it necessary? And then now we are doing research that 8 hours is okay. 16 hours, you get a headache. For me, if I go beyond that, I probably have bad day, whole day. So shorter time. But then we can always have more time for leisure and less time to work, no problem. So why we put timings on it? Because nature has made such a thing that the sun comes and become bright in the morning and gives life to everything. You are a life living organism. Plants are life, so they give life. Sun is the life. It gives life. Now at night it doesn't give life. That means we are dead or whatever. But what we are doing is the night is a time for soothing, sleeping, and time, And then there's another time during that phase which is so quiet because night starts just after the evening. So when it starts from the very daylight slowly to the night mode, it goes slowly, slowly in a dark mode. It goes into very slow mode and it goes to in a quiet mode. And that quiet mode is normally under umbrella of 4 to 5. It could be 3 to 4 sometimes, some other people, because geographically, time changes, climate changes might be different. We don't, sometimes I feel more sleepy, cozy in when it's raining outside rather than. So these are the situations because biological influence in humans are governed through this sun rays or the light which is available. Now, these lights are also lights, but these are different aspects of it. So coming back to 4 o'clock timing, that's the time is a very slow mode time where everything very slow or negligible. It becomes completely silent. Where if you make a noise, it's gonna be heard by a neighbors or maybe otherwise there are too many noises around that never let your noise to go out. Now, 4 o'clock, what happens when you shut down, when you slow down, your other parts of the body become more ignited. So, for example, if I've given you 10 tickets and you want to use it in a fun land, one after other, but if you don't use it, you still have 10 tickets, right? So, if you don't use it, but if you keep using it, what happens? You consume everything. So, if you have a 4 hour time and you start taking slow breath because it's calming area, you're saving your breath. When you're saving your breath, you're accumulating that tickets, extra tickets for your life to expand, extra ticket of journey that you might gonna think with your family, and empathy that you might think about around the world.
It's fascinating to talk to somebody with a PhD in the life sciences, also speak so passionately about the spiritual nature of our being, right? And I like the fact that you also see us as a natural system as well. So it's been fascinating. I always like to end my conversations with a question. If you can think of a time in your life when you were on the receiving end of empathy and what that meant for you.
That's going to be a little longer answer, but I tried to make it brief in a proper way. So I didn't mention in my interview before today, but I mentioned in other interviews the reason I fell in love with this resurrection therapy of coma is due to my mom that was found in a meningioma tumor due to multiple strokes with the timings intervals 15 days 16 days. She has to have a stroke every time, and then she were taken to a doctor, and doctor suggested that she has a tumor in her brain which is meningioma tumor, and she was active woman, age of 75, and doctor suggested either do the surgery for removal or you can take a medicine to reduce the strokes happening. And we decided, or she also decided to say, I want to do surgery. After surgery, she wasn't able to revive back, and that was the main reason that I felt that why it's so difficult for people like them to not come back, which where they were so active. And all of a sudden, we know that she wants to live, but we have, or either it's for some reason it stopped. So that was my receiving point when I said how I feel her pain. When I started feeling it, I said it's very impactful. She done so many things for us, for everybody, for like other mother does. So
Mm.
mother is a mother, right? So does everything. When my father passed away when I was only 10 years old, now today I'm 52. For 42 years, my mom taken care of all of us. We were four brothers, two sisters. And then she became at age of 75, excuse me, when I was, this happened 2013, right? Recently, it's not that far, 10 years, close to 10 years. And so this thing happened. And I said, I have to think in that way. I have to think about it. So I'm still very promising inside that empathy. thinking of someone's pain is very important. It's so important and powerful, where if you can change that part somehow, or just helping, or binding a hand, it's itself is so important. And I think this journey, we are all together, we are not alone, we are all together as a human. And not just human, we can see the pain the animals see as well. We just don't see it because they don't talk. They have been given the language power, but they are also intellect at a certain level. They can think about their family. They go into their nest. They never go to other people's nest. They are all colony. Packs are with pack, dogs are with dogs. So how we are different, how we can be more impactful. But these act of kindness, be empathy, try to receive people's, try to take it as a current situation. I don't want to go in politics, but current situation is so important for us, for all to understand. Be open for it, take it. Whoever is doing whatever is doing, just see that who is dying, who are the people. These are all us. Is all human. It could be from any sect, any religion, any country. But these, why can't we just live in an empathy way? And so
Mhm.
that's what a message I would give.
That's beautiful. Well, that is a delicious way to end. I'm so sorry for the loss of your mom, but she sounds like she was an extraordinary woman raising 6 children, with
Yes,
your father by her side. So a true testament to, um, yeah, resilience. And I'm sure she was also an empathic person. Hyder, I had such a great time with you. I'm so glad that
thank
we had
you.
the chance to reconnect. Thank you for making the time to do this again.
Much appreciate it. Yeah, much appreciate for you to call me back and have this discussion done. I hope the audience will take a key messages, though we had a fun time as well during the conversations, but ups and downs. I always don't see the people with their languages, with their various continents, or other culture. See it with their, through the eyes, to the eyes, and through into it, and see where you find them and what they're trying to say. It's not one journey taking one by one person. We all are taking the journeys together. More we are together, more we be more resilient, more friendly, and more environment. And that's the whole culture we should change. One person, one voice, but many people, one voice. That would be a matter that we would look forward for.
What
Thank
a
you so very much,
beautiful
my.
way of ending this. Thank you all for watching and listening. We'll see you next week at Purposeful Empathy. Thanks so much for watching this episode, and I hope you'll consider subscribing to the channel. Purposeful Empathy is devoted to amplifying the voices of people from across the globe who understand the world needs more empathy and are doing something about it. You've just done something about it by watching the show. Again, subscribe if you can, and consider picking up a copy today.